Hey guys, what is going on? This is our first Zoom where we're actually making live phone calls. So, what I thought I'd do today is just kind of go through our database here and see what exactly we're working with in terms of upcoming deals and potential opportunities. And hopefully, we get something from it. So, let's dive right in right now. So, the database that I use is called Open Dispo. It's really, really cool. It's done by Rick Sheldon in subto. And so if you guys want to talk to Rick about our CRM, it's super cool. I'm just going right now to Smart Lists, where it's super easy for me just to follow up with the offers that we've sent out. So that's what I'm doing today, is just following up on these offers and see what we can come up with. So one thing that you guys will notice is that I'm just clicking through. So I'm not spending a whole lot of time going through analyzing a deal, seeing what our offer is. So, and what I found is that the more that I talk myself out of making the phone call. So it's just so much better for you to just continue to power through. So the other thing that I'm doing here that you can't see, but after I click on call button, I go to see what the status of the property is. So I to see if it's sold or if it's pending, on market, if it's off market. This one is actually looks like it's sold a couple. So what I would do in this call is just make a connection to see if you can bring us any other opportunities. So sometimes for those types of calls where it sounds like they may have pushed reject, the red button on our phones, what I'll do sometimes is just call them right back and see if they pick up. So just double dial it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I thought that it would usually last longer, and it didn't there. So, Hey, Talithia, it's Mike Jackson. How are you? Good. We spoke a little while back about your listing over there on Puma, and we sent you over an offer last week. I wanted to see what feedback you had for our offer from the sellers. Got it. Tell me a little bit more. Okay, so go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you. Got it. Yeah, I hear that all the time. So usually when a seller says that they're not comfortable with it or they just want to be done with it, it usually means something else. There's usually another concern, such as they need to go buy their next house or whatever other issues they have. Did they dive any deeper into why it wouldn't work for them? Got it. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Divorce situations are sometimes the toughest situations when it comes to doing a sub two or taking over payments. So why don't I do this? Because I know that they're not comfortable at this point. What I will do is I'll just continue to touch base with you, see if anything changes on your end. As you know, I know this as well. Obviously, it doesn't really matter if they have their name on a piece of paper, even if they are divorced. So I'll just follow up with you just in case something changes. Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. So it's really funny when people are going through divorce and they're trying to sell their house. One question I should have asked, by the way, is uh, is this like a court ordered dissolution of assets? And if it is, then it makes perfect sense that they need to kind of separate assets and all of that stuff. In sub two situations, normally there's no equity, right? So in this situation, they may walk away with what was our offer to them? Let's see here. They were going to walk away with 7,500 bucks, so 3,750 if they were going to split that evenly. So it's not like there's a ton of money there, and who knows what the separation of assets is, but sometimes it's strange that sellers will say, look, we're getting a divorce. We don't want anything to do with each other, whether it's on paper or it's not. I don't want to be talking to that person. I don't want to have to deal with them ever again. So divorce situations can be tough. If you guys have any good situations or case studies that we can all learn from, that'd be great. Bring those up. Just make a couple notes here. By the way, I'm curious. I haven't seen some of the comments here, but can you guys hear the this agents okay on your end? All right. I'll try to do is how you guys can hear the call a little bit. Let me see what I can do here. Here's what we'll do. Let me turn the mic around a little bit. See if this will pick it up a little bit better. Can you guys hear the ringing? This is one where it looks like the property. It's one of those where you look at it on Zillow, it says that it's sold, but it's March of this year. So this is probably just taken off the market. Um, you always want to try to figure out why it was taken off the market. Did they not receive offers that they thought were beneficial for their clients? Something along those lines. Just kind of poke and prod a little bit, see what you guys can find out. I'll figure out the audio situation, guys, for the next time here. I remember this one. This one is basically last year. Hey, Sarah, it's Mike. How are you? Good, thanks. We spoke a little while back about your list on Creek Ridge, and I wanted to see if that's still available. So, what's the story with it? I know that we've sent you over an offer, and I just want to get some feedback, I guess, and see where you guys were at. Yeah, I do remember that. So, I sent you over an offer on the 15th of November. I can resend this to you if it's helpful. It is Mike.Jackson at revitalize.com, re hyphen vitalized with a D.com. And I have your email address is sarah.manning.tx@aw.com. Okay, cool. Why don't I do this? I'll just resend this to you, and I'll try to touch base with you tomorrow. Cool. Thank you, Sarah. I'll talk to you then. Okay, bye-bye. Could you guys hear the agent there at all? All right, I got to make a quick phone call here that might be of interest to you guys. This is on a deal that we are trying to sell out in California. It's a deal that we own, and it's currently listed with an agent. And I have to call the agent back because he got an offer on the house. It's a sub-2 offer, which I'm totally okay with, but I need to negotiate his commission. So this is one where the agent was asking for, let's see, what did we do? We did 4.5% total commission on the deal, 1.5% to him on the list side, and then 3% to the buyer side. And so this is a deal, or I guess an offer that came in that was unrepresented on the buyer side. And the agent initially told me that um, that he was going to charge us 2.5% for commission if he only represented us, but the other side came in unrepresented. What I want to do is I want to negotiate that down to 1.5% or less to see if we can get this deal done at that price. So that's what I'm going to call him about right now. Hey, George, it's Mike. How are you? I'm good, thanks. Is now a good time to touch base? Yeah, no worries. You're not feeling very good? No, not at all. I feel bad if you're not feeling well. So the Go ahead, George. Sorry. So the offer on, I guess the first offer we received, which I think was the 22,000 cash, they pay closing costs, I pay commissions on my end. That's okay with me. I'm curious what the other offer, if it does come in, if they see it today and they want to make an offer, what that offer is going to be. But the only thing that makes the first offer, unappealing is if they come in unrepresented and you're getting a 2.5% fee on that. Would you take 1.5% on that side just so we can get that deal done? Okay. Well, let's see what happens. Yeah, this one's kind of a pain, so I'd appreciate anything that you can help us with there. Let's see what happens today, and then maybe it makes sense at some point to reach back out to the first offer and see if they still have interest. Okay, cool. Thanks, George. I appreciate it. Let me know. Feel better, okay? Bye. Could you guys hear that? All right, good. Well, I don't know if you guys could hear that or not. At least he agreed to reduce his commission from 2.5% to 1.5%. Got to resend this LOI here for this other one. Okay, cool. Let's keep on going, guys. Let's keep making some phone calls. Still couldn't hear that, huh? Okay, got to figure that out. I'm sorry. Well, hopefully we're getting some value out of this. Next time, hopefully I can figure out how you guys can hear it on your end. Obviously, without having context, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Hey, Natalie, it's Mike. How are you? I'm good, thanks. We spoke a while ago about your listing on Club Drive, and I want to see if that's still available and see what the story was. Okay, good. Okay, good. So I know that we sent you over an offer last month, and I'm sure you forget exactly what it is, but I don't think we ever heard back from you on that. Do you know what kind of offer you're receiving today on it? Is it no, I don't even care about price. That's not really what I'm asking about. I guess what I'm asking about is it sort of a cash or a finance transaction, or are they requiring to cover the payments? Okay, good, good. Well, my offer is a little bit different, so consider it as a backup option for you guys. And I hope that the cash offer works for them, and I know that the offer that I submitted probably isn't their first choice. So I'll just touch base with you and see if anything changes on your end. And no, that's okay. I'm sure you don't. The offer that we sent over to you was one where we were providing cash to the seller. We were going to pay your commission, and then we were taking over the payments on the mortgage, which I'm sure you've gotten a lot of offers like that. I expect you to have a lot of offers like that, just kind of given the situation. What are they expecting to net out of this? I know that they owe around 270 or so. What are they expecting to net? Got it. And you guys are currently listed at 310? Okay. Yeah, I think before 315 or 320 or somewhere around there. Okay, so the way that I do my underwriting on this, just so you know, is that if we are paying the commission, if we're paying closing costs, that basically gets rid of 8 to 10% or so of the total cost of the seller. And so, what the way that I figure it is if I'm taking off, call it 30 grand just for the sake of a round number, and they owe about 270, normally they'd walk away with about 10 grand or so. And I think that our offer is probably somewhere around there, giving them 10 to 15 grand, somewhere in that neighborhood. Sure. Yep, that makes sense. Well, I know that this is a distant second option for you guys. I'm sure that he would prefer a cash offer. So I'm hoping that goes through, but if it doesn't, then maybe we'll have another conversation. There's no reason for me to right now, Natalie, just because the cash offer that he gets, if he gets a full price cash offer, for example, That's going to be much preferred over my offer. And so I'd rather just wait and see what happens. Cool. Well, I'll plan to follow up later. Okay. Of course. Have a good day. Okay. So this one's listed 310. He owes 269. So round up to 270. If we take off about 10%, 9% or so, that is going to be about 280. If he owes 270, he's going to walk away with 10 grand, right? That's kind of how we do our quick calculations based on what we are providing in that situation to the seller, paying the agent's commission, paying the closing costs. Cool thing about that is they don't have to pay any sort of buyer incentives. They don't have to make any repairs to the property because we're buying properties as is. So, that's one where they're not going to walk away with a whole lot. I feel terrible. Did you guys hear that he is a single dad who has the kids full time, but he's still paying child support to his ex-wife? How do wow. How does that work out? But anyway, so that's one that I'm just going to follow up with. I'm hoping that they get a cash offer that makes sense. If they get a cash offer at 310, who knows what the commission percentage is, and I don't ever ask what that is to the agent. But if she's getting maybe 1%, maybe the buying agent's getting 2%, then the seller's going to actually walk away with some money, which we always want to do our best to have the seller walk away with as much money as possible. So I'm just going to follow up on that one, and we'll see what happens. I'm just going to make a couple notes here and then move on to the next call. A cash offer today. Follow up. So what I'll do for that is I'll probably just follow up Monday next week. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna follow up later in the week. I'm gonna follow up on Friday. Agent's probably not gonna pick up on Friday, but I'll give it a shot. We'll see what happens. Our offer, by the way, was $5,000 cash to seller. We're taking over the loan balance of 269.7. The net to seller on our net sheet was about 15, but that was based on a previous price of 315. So it's probably closer to 10. And I'm a little bit concerned though that they're not gonna be able to get what they're looking for out of this, because if they're looking for money for their next home, I don't think 10 grand's gonna do it. That's a rental probably. It's not a purchase. I guess it could be FHA potentially. And that's what this loan was. It was FHA. All right, let's go to the next one. Hey, Allison, it's Mike. How are you? Good, thanks. I'm calling you about your listing that we spoke about a while ago, the one on Overland. It looks like it's pending now. Oh, okay. Do you think that that's a strong offer, a strong chance of going through? Okay, good. When's closing, just so I can follow up with you after, just in case it didn't go through? Wow. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's a good thing. I do know that the assumption process can take forever. Okay. Is just out of curiosity, we don't do the assumption part of it, but we hear from agents a lot about assumptions. Is the is the buyer a veteran as well, or are they not a veteran? Okay, good. So they can replace the entitlement, substitute the entitlement for the seller. Perfect. Awesome. Have you ever done an assumption for a VA loan before? Oh, wow. Okay, cool. So one thing to know about, they're typically just in the standard assumption process, it doesn't automatically substitute the entitlement and release the seller from liability of that mortgage, even though the buyer does qualify for the assumption. So always make sure that the lender is aware that you want to substitute the entitlement from the buyer to the seller to the buyer. It's super, super important because you don't want your seller to be liable for your buyer's lack of payment, basically. Okay, cool. Well, congratulations. While I have you on the phone, do you have anything else available that I can take a look at? I'm looking for a rental in that area. Okay, cool. Yeah, I actually have that phone number right here. So I'll give that. Yep, I got that one. Freddie Jordan James. Three first names. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Allison. I appreciate your time. Bye bye. Okay. So interesting. A VA loan assumption. We were actually just talking about this as a team earlier. Um, so VA loan assumption. These take forever, or they can. So my guess is that this went under contract in November, closing dates in February, so that's 3 months, right? They do take a long time. The buyer has to come in and fully qualify. If it's a veteran, it's probably a little bit of an easier process than it is for someone like me who's not a veteran to qualify. Um, but it's it's a good way to purchase if a veteran does need housing. Closing in February, and the thing that I mentioned about making sure that the lender releases the seller from liability is something that you always have to make sure of, that the lender is aware that you are doing a full assumption. Obviously, they're qualifying it, but at the same time, you do want to communicate that the seller wants to release the liability on their part to the buyer, and that they're doing a substitution of entitlement from the seller to the buyer. And basically, all that that means is that the seller is releasing that amount that they have borrowed against their VA entitlement so that they can go purchase a bigger home or a home in general using their VA entitlement with nothing down. And it takes away from the buyer's entitlement that they're allowed to purchase with. So let's see. I'm just going to make a follow up appointment here, maybe for the 1st of February. And I'll change the status here. My wife downstairs is listening to The Cure, and I can hear her wrestling with our dog on the floor. Okay, cool. Let's keep on going. Let's make a few more phone calls here, and then we will probably call it a day. So what we're going to do is do this on a regular basis, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Central Time. And here, I think it's going to be beneficial for you guys to have that. And then hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully I can get some, excuse me, some deals. Okay, this one, man, I've been working on this one forever. I don't know why this one is not going to sell. Oh, that's why. Hey, Justin, it's Mike. How are you? Good, thanks. I wanted to follow up with you. We spoke a little while back about your list on Spring Point. Is that still available? Oh no, what happened? Really? Were they doing traditional financing on it, or were they taking over the payments? Okay. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Even though rates have dropped, it's I guess people are still little bit afraid, huh? So how did your sellers respond? Are they open to our offer now of taking over the payments? Got it. What about that didn't make sense for them? Yeah, that makes sense. So obviously I can't do anything about the credit report. If she were to sell it to us that way, she may still have entitlement if she were to sell it on a sub two. However, it's going to decrease the ability she has to purchase next a little bit. Um, okay. No, no, that's plenty of information. I appreciate it. I'm sure you've been hit up by a lot of people about this, right? Does it get annoying? Yeah, I can imagine. Have you ever done a deal like that before? Okay. Okay, cool. Well, I understand that there are 99 more behind me, but I'll touch base with you a little bit later just in case. And then if anything else comes on the market that we might be able to do this type of transaction on, I'd love to work with you. Thanks, Preston. Bye bye. So, guys, something to note here, not that it's any real surprise, but everybody is getting hit up by people asking for sub twos. Everybody. You know, I am. We're trying to sell a deal and we're getting hit up by people for sub twos. So, I think that we have to be really uh, sympathetic when we can, if that's at all possible on these deals. And it's really not up to the agent, right? Really, all they are is a conduit to the seller. And all that we can do is do our best to communicate to the agent what it exactly it is we're trying to accomplish and the benefits that it has for the buyer, or excuse me, for the seller. In that case, the seller is completely adamant that she does not want to have someone take over her payments. So I don't want to go in there and just hammer, 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 right? What I'm going to want to do is just kind of slowly move my way in if I can at all. And, like he said, he's getting 5 calls a day. He has 100 people who are calling about this deal. Kind of shocking because it's not really a great deal in the first place. But, it is a VA loan. It's sub 6%. Um, it's in Florida. It's not a bad place. So the key here is just really to stay in touch and be sympathetic and maybe pick one thing at a time to touch base with them on. And in that call for me, it was just trying to figure out the status. So I'll follow up with him in a month and see if anything changes. Let me just write some notes here. Okay. All right, guys, we'll make one more phone call here, maybe get in touch with someone else, and then we will call it a day. This is what I really want. This is one by a house we bought recently. Hey, Catherine, it's Mike. How's your afternoon? Good, thank you. I am calling you about your list on Pipegate, and we sent over an offer a little while back. I'm sorry? Well, I want to see if it's still available, first of all. Okay. Did it fall out? Got it. Was that a financing contingency that they had an issue with? Oh, I see. Okay, cool. Um, okay. So the offer that we sent over, I don't think I ever got any feedback from you on it, but I just want to touch base with you. Our offer, as I'm sure you've received plenty of these in the past couple months, is us taking over the payments on the mortgage. And I was just curious. I was just curious to get some feedback from you on that and see if the seller is at all interested in that type of a transaction. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I totally get it. It's up to them anyway. Why don't I do this? Why don't I send you over? I'll resend you over the offer just so you have it, and then I'll touch base with you later in the week. Okay. Cool. Thank you, Catherine. No, of course. Bye bye. It's one of those calls where it's like talking over each other constantly. Can't stand it. Sometimes it's due to the delays in phones, but I apologize. I try to be a better listener than I was there, or at least it sounded like. Um, okay, guys. So listen, that's let's see, that's about 40 or so minutes of making phone calls. Um, a couple things that I took away from that little session there was, first of all, the talking over her on that call right there, I did not like at all. So that frustrated me quite a bit. Um, every single agent that we are talking to is getting calls from people exactly like us looking to take over payments on mortgages. So, what can we do differently to sound either to separate ourselves from the bunch or to do something a little bit different that separates us, right? That's all that we want to do. There are a lot of people who are calling who are not in sub 2, and there are a lot of people who are calling who don't really understand the process and don't understand how it goes and don't know how to communicate to the agent. So, um, really take that education that we have available to us and put it into use and see how that goes and just have conversations, right? The more conversations you have, the more likely that you are to get a deal, but also build a relationship with an agent. So I hope you guys got something out of this today. On Thursday, we will be meeting again at 1 o'clock Central. And I'm going to try to figure out this audio issue so you guys can hear what the call is. Okay. All right, guys. See you guys later. Let me know if you have any questions.